Mary, the maternal love of God. Revelations of Jesus Christ from 1884 to 1950. The humble earthly existence of Mary. Thus saith the Lord, Mary is the flower of my heavenly garden, whose essence has always been in my spirit. Do you observe those flowers which humbly conceal their beauty? That is how Mary was, and how she is, an inexhaustible source of beauty to the one who is able to see her with lucidity and respect, and a treasure of kindness and tenderness for all beings. Mary passed through the world, concealing her divine essence. She knew who she was and who her Son was, and instead of making a display of that grace, she declared herself only a servant of the Most High, an instrument of the designs of the Father. Mary knew that she was to conceive a king more powerful and greater than all the kings of earth. But did she crown herself as a queen among humanity? Did her lips boast in the plazas, in the streets, in the humble homes or palaces that she was to be the mother of the Messiah? And that the only Son of the Father would spring from her womb? No, truly, people, in her was the greatest humility, meekness, and grace, and the promise was fulfilled. Her motherly heart was fortunate, and from before giving birth, and in the moment, and afterward, throughout the life of her Son, she was a most loving mother, who knew spiritually the destiny of Jesus, the mission that he was to fulfill among men, and why he had to come. She never opposed that destiny, for she was part of the same work. Yes, sometimes she shed tears. They were mother's tears, for she was flesh who felt the pain of her own flesh in her Son. Was she a disciple of the Master, her Son? No. Mary had nothing to learn from Jesus. She was of the same Father and had come to incarnate only to complete that beautiful and delicate mission. Was that worthy heart satisfied to love only her most beloved Son? No, truly, through that small human heart, the maternal heart was manifested in consolation and sublime words, in counseling and charity, in prodigies and light, and in truth. There was never any ostentatiousness in her. She never crossed words with the Master. But just as she was at the foot of the manger, so too was she at the foot of the cross, where her Son, the Master, taking his last breath as a man, expired. Thus was her destiny as a human mother fulfilled, giving a sublime example to all mothers and to all mankind. Mary and Jesus. Many times men have asked themselves why Jesus, even after having been crucified, allowed himself to be seen by Magdalene, the sinner, and later visited his disciples. On the other hand, it is not known if he visited his mother. To which I say to you that it was not necessary that I manifested myself before Mary in the same manner that I did with them, for the communication between Christ and Mary was constant since before the world. Through Jesus, I manifested myself to humanity in order to save sinners, and I allowed myself to be seen by them after the crucifixion to revive the faith of those who needed me. But verily, I say unto you, Mary, my sweet mother while I was a man, did not have a blemish to cleanse, nor could she lack in faith, for she knew who Christ was, even before offering him her maternal womb. It was not necessary that I should materialize my spirit to visit Mary, who returned me to the kingdom with that same purity and humility with which she received me in her womb. But who could know the form in which I spoke to her in her solitude, and the divine caress with which my spirit embraced her? Thus I answer those who have presented me with this question, and who often thought that the first visit of Jesus should have been made to his mother. How different the form in which I manifested myself to Mary from that which I used to make myself felt by Magdalene and my disciples. The virginity of Mary. On the mountaintop where the Master is found, there too is Mary, the universal mother, she who was made woman in the second era, so that she could perform the prodigy of the incarnation of the divine word. Man has scrutinized and judged Mary, and the way that Jesus came to the world, and those judgments have torn at the garments of purity of the maternal spirit, whose heart spilled out its blood over the world. I have come in this time to throw back the veil of the unknown, to remove the doubt of the unbeliever, and to give him knowledge of the spiritual teachings. From my truth, which is like a road, men have made many side roads, on which, most of the time, they get lost. And while some seek the intercession of the Celestial Mother, and others do ignore her, her mantle of love and tenderness envelops all eternally. From the beginning of time, I revealed the existence of the spiritual mother, of whom the prophet spoke before she came to the world. Mary was sent to manifest her virtue, her example, and her perfect divinity. She was not one more woman among humanity. She was a distinctive woman, and the world saw her life, knew her way of thinking and feeling, and knew the purity and grace of her body and spirit. She is an example of simplicity, humility, abnegation, and love. And in spite of the fact that her life has been known by the world of that time and of succeeding generations, there are many who do not know of her virtue and her virginity. They cannot explain the fact that she was virgin and mother, because man is unbelieving by nature and has not been able to judge the divine works with a prepared spirit. If they studied the scriptures and analyzed the incarnation of Mary and the lives of her antecessors, they would come to know who she is. The most tender love of God for his creatures has no form. Nevertheless, in the second era, it took the form of a woman, in Mary, the mother of Jesus. Understand that Mary has always existed, since her essence, her love, and her tenderness have always been in the divinity. How many theories and confusions have men forged about Mary, about her maternity, her conception, and her purity? How they have blasphemed. The day that they understand the truth of that purity, they will say, "Better would it be never to have been born." Tears of fire will burn their spirits, and then Mary will envelop them in her grace. The Divine Mother will protect them under her mantle, and the Father will forgive them, saying to them with infinite love, "Keep vigil and pray, because I forgive you, and in you I forgive and bless the world. The example of Mary for women. The life of your master is an example for all humanity, and yet, as women needed teaching about their mission as mothers, Mary was sent to humanity in representation of the divine tenderness, to give them her divine example of humility as well. Blessed women, you too form part of my apostolate. Between the spirits of men and your own, there is no difference, although you are physically different and have different missions. Take Jesus as master of your spirit and follow him in the path traced by his love. Make his word yours and embrace his cross. I am speaking to you with the same word with which I speak to men, for spiritually you are the same. But when your woman's heart seeks a model to imitate, when you need perfect examples to support you in perfecting yourself in life, remember Mary. Observe her throughout her life's journey on earth. It was the will of the Father that the humble life of Mary be recorded by my disciples, who knew her through her works and who spoke with her. That life, humble to those familiar with it, was luminous from the time of her birth until her end on earth. Mary wrote many pages of loving teachings with her humility of spirit, her infinite tenderness, and with the purity of heart and love for humanity, which she expressed with silence more often than with words. For she knew it was Christ who had come to talk to men. The spirit of Mary was the same tenderness that emanates from the Father, in order to give humanity the perfect example of humility, obedience, and meekness. Her passage through the world was a beam of light. Her life was simple, elevated, and pure. In her, the prophecies that announced that the Messiah would be born of a virgin were fulfilled. Only she could have carried in her womb the seed of God. Only she was worthy to remain after her mission before Jesus was completed, as the spiritual mother of humanity. For that reason, women, Mary is your perfect model, but seek her and imitate her in her silence and in her acts of humility and infinite self-denial out of love of the needy. In her silent pains, in the tenderness that pardons all, and in the love that is intercession, consolation, and sweet companionship. Young women, wives, mothers, orphans or widows, lonely women whose hearts are pierced by pain, name Mary as your sweet and affectionate mother. Call her with your thoughts, receive her in your spirit, and feel her in your heart. Mary as intercessor, comforter, and co-savior of humanity. Mary passed through the world in silence, but filling the hearts with peace, interceding for the needy, praying for all, and finally shedding her tears of forgiveness and pity over the ignorance and wickedness of men. Why not seek Mary if you wish to reach the Father, if through her you received Jesus? Were not mother and son together in the supreme moment of the death of the Savior? Was not the Son's blood blended at the moment with his mother's tears? From the cross, I had bequeathed to the world the book of life and spiritual wisdom, a book to be analyzed and understood by men over centuries, eras, and times. That is why I told Mary, trembling with pain at the foot of the cross, "Woman, there is your son," motioning to John with my glance, who in that instant represented humanity. but a humanity converted to be a good disciple of Christ, a spiritualized humanity. To John too I spoke, saying, "Son, here is your mother," words that I will now explain. Mary represented purity, obedience, faith, tenderness, and humility. Each of those virtues is a step on the ladder that I descended to come to the world and be made man in the womb of that holy and pure woman. That tenderness, that purity, and that love are the divine womb, where the seed of life is fertilized. That ladder by which I descended to you, to be made man and dwell with my children, is the same that presents itself to you for your ascension to me, transforming yourselves from men to spirits of light. Mary is the ladder. Mary is the maternal womb. Seek her, and you find me. I left you to Mary at the foot of the cross on the mount that gathered my blood and the tears of the mother. There she remained, awaiting her children, for it shall be she who takes the cross from their shoulders and shows them the road to glory. The message of Mary was that of consolation, of tenderness, of humility, and of hope. She had to come to the earth to make her maternal essence known, offering her virginal womb to make the Word flesh. However, her mission did not end there. Beyond this world was her true dwelling place, from which she can extend her mantle of compassion and tenderness over all her children, from where she can follow the steps of the lost and pour her celestial comfort over those who suffer. Many centuries before Mary descended to the world to fulfill her divine destiny, being made flesh as a woman, a prophet of God announced her. Through him you knew that a virgin would conceive and bear a son, who would be called Emmanuel, which is to say, God with you. In Mary, a woman without a stain, in whom the spirit of celestial tenderness descended to earth, the divine promise announced by the prophet was fulfilled. Since then, the world has known her, and men and the peoples pronounce her name with love, and in their pain seek her as mother. The mother of sorrows you call her, for you know the world buried the sword of pain in her heart, and you cannot quit from your minds that sorrowful face and that expression of infinite sadness. Today, I wish to tell you to remove from your heart that eternal image of pain, and in its place think of Mary as the sweet, smiling, and loving mother who works spiritually, helping all her creatures to elevate themselves on the road traced by the Master. Do you see that the mission of Mary was not limited to maternity on earth? Her manifestation in the second era was also not unique, for a new time is reserved to her, in which she shall speak from spirit to spirit with humanity. My disciple John, prophet and seer, beheld in his ecstasy a woman dressed in the sun, a radiant virgin of light. That woman, that virgin, is Mary, whose womb will once again conceive, not a new Redeemer, but a world of men who sustain themselves by her love, faith, and humility, in order to follow the divine footsteps of Christ, the Master of all perfection. The prophet saw how that woman suffered as though to give birth, and the pain was that of the purification of man, of the expiation of the spirits. When the pain has passed, the light will be made in man, and gladness shall fill the spirit of your universal mother. The divine nature of Mary. The mantle of your celestial mother has protected the world for eternity, covering my children, who are her children, with love. Mary, Spirit, was not born in the world. Her maternal essence has been with me always. She is the wife of my purity and my holiness. She is my daughter upon being made woman, and my mother upon conceiving the incarnated Word. Mary is essentially divine. Her spirit is one with the Father and the Son. Why judge her human if she was the favored daughter prophesied to humanity since the beginning of time, as the creature in which the divine Word would be made flesh? Why then do men blaspheme and doubt my power, scrutinizing my works without respect? It is because they have not deeply studied my divine teaching, have not meditated on what the Scriptures say, nor accepted my will. Today, in the third era, there is still doubt that she comes to communicate with men. But I tell you that she participates in all my works, for she is the representation of the most tender love held in my divine spirit. Mary is the spirit fused to the divinity in such a way that she constitutes one of its parts like the three aspects: the Father, the Word, and the light of the Holy Spirit. Thus, Mary is the Spirit of God that manifests and represents divine tenderness. How many await their arrival in the heights of heaven to know Mary, who they always imagine in human form, of the woman who, on earth, was the mother of Christ as man, and whom they represent like a queen on a throne, beautiful and powerful. Yet I say to you, cease giving form in your minds to that which is divine. Mary, your spiritual mother, exists, but does not have the form of a woman, or any other form. She is the sweet and holy tenderness, whose charity extends to the infinite. She reigns among the spirit, and her kingdom is that of humility, charity, and purity. But she has no throne, as is imagined by men. She is beautiful, but with a beauty you cannot imagine nor express in even the most beautiful face. Her beauty is celestial, and the celestial you will never understand. The universal emanation of Mary. Mary, your universal mother, is in me, and it is she who awards the most tender caresses to her beloved creatures. She has been in your heart to leave in it her peace and to prepare a sanctuary. Mary keeps vigil for the world and extends her wings to protect it from pole to pole. In my divinity, the love of intercession exists. It is Mary. How many hearts that remained close to faith have been opened by her to repentance and love? Her maternal essence is in all creation. It is felt by all. And nonetheless, there are those who, while seeing it, deny it. Those who deny the divine maternity of Mary are ignorant of one of the most beautiful revelations the divinity has given to man. Those who recognize the divinity of Christ, but deny it to Mary, do not know that they are depriving themselves of the sweetest and most tender essence of that which exists in my divinity. How many are there who, believing they know the Scriptures, know nothing? For they have understood nothing. And how many are there who, believing they have found the language of creation, live in confusion? The maternal spirit beats sweetly in all beings. You may behold its image at every step. Its divine tenderness has fallen like a blessed seed into the hearts of all creatures. Every kingdom of nature is a living testimony of it, and every mother's heart is an altar raised to that great love. Mary was a divine flower, and Jesus was its fruit.